there too.
Michael from Long Island.
Before I finish my question, I saw Anthony's lips moving.
Yeah,
Of course. You're enough.
As soon as I went no, it's like ding ding, checking in.
Yeah, the light bulb went off instantly. Michael, what do you got? We're running out of time over here.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Hey. I was watching a show recently that said that the humans today are descended from aliens that came millions of years ago. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, there's not a whole lot of evidence of that. The whole idea is based on Zecharia Sitchin's work, where he deciphered the Sumerian text. And the Sumerian text, Sumer is the oldest known civilization ever. It's where Iraq is today, which is one of the reasons why Iraqis are such douchebags. They're like the townies of the world. It's like that's where civilization was created. That's where mathematics, government, astrology, astronomy. It's a very fascinating, complex civilization where they had a detailed map of the solar system with all the planets in the correct orbit, including Pluto. We didn't know about Pluto until 1930. Now it's not a planet anymore, but whatever. Back then they had, and everything they learned.
They could prove there is documentation that goes back that far.
Oh, there's
all that stuff.
Yeah, there's stone carvings of the whole solar system. There's not just that. There's genetic engineering with it. It's the originating symbol of the caduceus. Those two serpents intertwined that means pharmacy. That originated back then. It's thought to have something to do with the double helix of DNA, that they understood like a lot of very complicated things, like really incredibly complicated things. And they not only that, they had a detailed depiction of the creation of Earth, including the collision that they know now happened. This is like the scientists believe there's Earth 1 and Earth 2. And Earth 1 existed before the collision. It was a bigger, different planet, and we were hit by another planet, an intruder planet. And that's also what created, like, there's a thing called Bode's Law. And Bode's Law is if you know the size and the gravity of a planet, you can dictate how far away the next planet's going to be. Works on every planet in the solar system except for Mars and Jupiter. And because of Mars and Jupiter, in between there should be a planet. But there's the asteroid belt. And the asteroid belt is this gigantic belt that used to be a part of a planet. That's one of the theories. And they knew about this. They wrote about this 6,000 years ago. And they say that everything they learned from the Annunaki. And what the Annunaki literally translates is those from heaven to earth came, as those who came down from this other planet. And the idea is that they're on a planet called Nibiru, and Nibiru is on an elliptical orbit that comes inside Earth and Jupiter between Jupiter and Mars in that area. It comes around in that area every 3,600 years, supposedly. I mean, that sounds ridiculous, because it seems like if that was really like 3,000 years ago, if there's a planet that comes through, wouldn't there be some writing about that somewhere?
We would have seen it. Those guys were dopes.
But the fascinating thing is how much they knew. Find out, that this civilization 6,000 years ago popped up out of nowhere, and that's where mathematics came from. They invented the wheel, first government, first astrology. They named all the constellations, Leo and Cancer, and they had all that back then. They had all the depictions of the lion and the scales. All that stuff is from way back then. It's really, really amazing that this civilization just sprung out of nowhere. And this one scholar, Zecharia Sitchin, believes that this is where it gets really crazy. The reason why human beings were created is to mine gold for these aliens, and that they need gold to suspend gold particles in their atmosphere to protect it, because their atmosphere eroded just like ours did. Well, it sounds ridiculous, but in 2000 they had this symposium of all these different scientists got together, and they were coming up with ideas to, if we lost the ozone layer, what we could do to shield ourselves. And the number one idea was suspending reflective particles in the atmosphere.
Really?
Yeah, like gold. And gold is one of the most unusual metals. It's very rare in that you can take a little tiny piece of gold and you can cover a huge surface with it. That's why they use gold for plating, gold plating on stuff. And that it's the same as with gold powder, and the gold powder would disperse. If you could get gold powder, you could get so much more of it. You could spread out so much further than any other kind of metallic particle.
Imagine if they did it wrong, though, and they're trying to fix the atmosphere, just dropping blocks of gold.
Or all just condensed. Gravity made it a big torpedo of gold. It's crushing down in Manhattan.
Giant gold hole in the middle of the street.
It sounds crazy, but then if you look back and you go, well, why is everybody fascinated with gold? Gold has been our number one currency in this world for thousands and thousands of years. Back when you could give somebody a soft metal that you can't even make a knife out of it, and they'll give you a donkey. Really? Why would that guy give you a donkey for that metal piece of rock that's useless?
We saw the effect it had on women. If you hand it to them, they go,
yeah, but what is that?
I find
currency.
I find it creepy that there's no one anywhere close to what we're doing as humans on this planet, and that freaks me out.
Yeah,
like you don't see, like we joke about it in very basic terms, like why isn't there an elephant at the bus stop waiting to get on the bus with us? It's humans, and then who's in second place?
Yeah.
We even had a huge discussion about that, and we couldn't come up with anybody close to close to us in second place.
No, there's no
people
second
went with
place. Even
dolphins.
dolphins.
People went with ants.
Yeah, but still.
But
Yeah,
that's what creeps
nothing.
me out. It's like, why are we so much more advanced than anything else living on this planet?
Well, what
and it doesn't
Sitchin
make sense
says-
to me. So it makes me think something went awfully wrong with evolution, or possibly we came from somewhere else.
Well, we're the only animal that looks like dogs. You know, if you look at dogs, you know, you can get a poodle and a Great Dane, they can mate with each other. You could have Shaquille O'Neal and Bridget the Midget, and they can mate with each other. I mean, how crazy is that? That's
Yeah.
the same species? How is that the same species? It doesn't even make any sense. I mean, if you get a tiger and a lion, they can't mate. They make a liger. That thing's useless. That thing is sterile.
Yeah.
But humans can make other humans out of anything. We make functional human mixes out of anything. I mean,
Jimmy's
if you look at it, humans created dogs through genetic engineering for selective breeding, you know, and the idea is that that's how human beings were created, that they took a lower hominid and they accelerated the evolution. And that's what aliens did. And they're coming back and they want their gold.
Ow!
Buckle
All
up,
right,
bitches.
we really have run out of time. You just made the last hour very interesting,
man.
Joe.
Yeah, always a good time,
And
man.
a lot of people
Always
want to
love-
know how they